Keynote speaker today is somebody really, really special. Dr. Adil Alzarooni, an Emirati entrepreneur, and I would say a serial entrepreneur. And this is why it's very important for our students to meet him and to benefit from his experience. He's passionate about innovation. He's passionate about entrepreneurship, about new ventures, and building the ecosystem here in the UAE and in the region. It's our absolute pleasure to welcome you, Dr. Adil. Thank you so much for being with us, for sharing this experience with our students. We're honored to have you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Professor Dima. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the University of Sharjah for arranging this magnificent event. I've always been passionate about sustainable projects that have economic contribution as well as social contribution. Now, before talking about the specifics of why are we talking about venture studios for family offices, I'd like to echo the message from the Dean of Communication on the importance of family offices. They are a key contributor to GDP globally, between 60 and 70% looking at the region. They are a key contributor to employmentships or jobs, anywhere between 70 and 90%, depending on which country you are. And in this region, family offices play even a further role in employment as well as GDP. I'd like to share some stats with you. I mean, family offices have always started with an entrepreneur. Am I right? There's this guy that had the will to build a business and then started with a company and a product and a service. And then that a few decades after became a family office. So that entrepreneurship is already there in family offices. Question is, in this world, in these times where things are very fast, businesses grow and die in quite a very speedy matter, how can you continue to develop businesses as a family in an efficient way, whereby success and failure is only part of the process, and that getting that successful business or successful idea is part of the process rather than being lucky? So many of our ancestors, they were just there at the right time, doing the right thing in the right economy. So luck played a good role there. Moving forward, luck is still important. Grace of God is still important, is always important. But then what is the process for you to be able to find that idea, try it, identify whether you can be successful in it or not, fast enough for you to double up on it or shut it down? So success and failure becomes part of the process of developing ideas and developing companies. Why is that? 90% of startups fail. So if you know when you grow 10 ideas, that 9 of them will die. These ideas that you are very passionate about, if you have the peace within yourself to know that 90% of them will fail, that's a hard thing to swallow. That's a hard thing to settle in your brain. But if it becomes part of your process of identifying ideas and working on them and being efficient, then that is just a process. That is a statistical fact that you'd like to live with. To enhance it a bit, venture studios came to play. And let me share a few numbers with you. Why most of these startups fail? Misunderstanding market demand, 42%, running out of funding and personal money, almost 30%, weak founding teams, 23%, competition, almost 20%, and pricing, user and friendship, and many other reasons is 10%. So you do understand, or at least statistically, the weaknesses or the challenges that cause many of these failures to happen. How do you counter that? becomes then a way of enhancing your stats. So what is a venture studio? Why is venture studio is meant to help enhancing that 90% and not having 90%, having a better number? Well, venture studios is a model of entrepreneurship that emerged in the mid-90s, known as startup studios. Some of them call it startup studios. You build multiple companies at the same time. And you decide whether these ideas, you define what are the successful ideas quite fast, or what are the failed ideas quite fast, so that you shut them down and you go for the next idea or the next business quite fast enough, using the same team and trying to make these hard decisions quite fast enough. These are few of the names that have evolved in time on venture studios and venture builders. You have Idea Lab, Rocket, it's quite one of the more famous ones, EF, Atomic, and many others. In the last, only in 2020, there were more than 560 of venture studios have evolved, representing 625% growth in studio market over the last 7 years. So it's huge growth in this sphere. Venture studios, as of now, they prove they have 30% higher success rate. Almost 5% of companies that succeed within venture studios become unicorns. And 30 to 50% have an exit rate. Basically, they get sold or they get listed. So the numbers here, the stats, show that venture studios are a bit more efficient, not a bit, quite substantially more efficient than the other models of building companies. Starts with ideation, using a very competent team, production, launch, and then scale. What do venture studios bring to a startup? It usually starts with a competent team that runs multiple companies at the same time. Technology plays a major role for introducing efficiency, like project management. Capital is very efficient because you are using the same team, the same infrastructure, and of course, network. So you get experienced leadership, you get streamlined resources, you get strategic direction, and you get market validation quite fast. What does it bring to a company? So if you are a company or a family office, what does it bring to the family office or the company? Agility. So the family office, if it wants to survive across different market situations and across time, they need agility. Venture studios give them that agility because they can be always ahead of time. They can always fall into the next good idea. They can have a speed to market, so an idea takes a much more shorter time to come to market, rather than by the time you develop the idea and get it to the market, it's already outdated. It has much lower risk because you are using the same team with the same resources. No merger and acquisition costs. Currently, you hear those crazy numbers about a company buying another company, billions of dollars, and the idea sounds very simple. So with the venture studio model, you don't necessarily need to do that. So it brings basically smaller initial investments, direct relationship with the promising startups, experience with multiple ideas, and then you have multiple investment approaches towards it. There are a couple of models in doing venture studios. One is called agency builder. Basically, it's a third-party company that brings all resources and ideation to a business. So you basically are outsourcing the venture building process, but you are using your own team and your own family office to do this. And the other one is venture builder, which is basically creating a venture studio within your environment. Venture studios are a bit different from accelerators, incubators, and venture capital firms. I won't spend a lot of time here because it's a bit on the technical side. Accelerators, they usually host a lot of entrepreneurs and they spread small amounts of money. Success rates are relatively low. Venture studio don't do this. Venture studio has an already predefined team and they do the research on finding gaps in the market and accordingly focuses money and effort into a smaller team. Incubators, again, they host a smaller number of entrepreneurs and they provide them with resources. Again, success rates are better than accelerators, but with venture studios, you do not need to be lucky with entrepreneurs because the team is the entrepreneurial team. Venture capital firms, they are usually hands-off. They just give you money. And if you are successful, they give you more money. So they don't get involved. They don't support. Venture studios, it doesn't work like this. It's a predefined team. They'll give you money for an X amount of months. And if you fail, you go to the next idea. So how does it help in building the next big business? Matchmaking. They can provide proven track record, and some of my colleagues will speak about this, and with partnerships. Venture studios in the Middle East, it's growing. There's around 8 to 10 of them now. There's a lot of funding available for venture studios, around $3 billion available for startups in the region. So we believe that venture studios is one key contributor to the evolvence, not only for family offices, but the evolvence of the ecosystem of venture building, evolvence of the ecosystem of startups growing in this region, contributing to jobs, contributing to economy, and contributing to society. I'd like to thank you very much for your patience with me. I know I can speak forever about this subject. So thank you very much. Thank you.